Next, we've got Tony Gillespie from Forescout. He's a U.S. public sector strategist, recently retired Marine Corps after serving 35 years, so thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
That was both active duty and civil service. He is part of the Installations East, he was part of the Installations East ACS2016 company? Is that?
Assistant Chief of Staff G6. I was a CIO for Marine Corps Installations East.
Thank you. So today he's going to be talking about 0 days, company to connect, or as he put it, the subtitle is
there a patch for stupid?
So now, without any further ado, please welcome Tony Gillespie.
Good afternoon. As stated, I served 35 years with the Marine Corps, between active duty and civil service, retiring as a CIO for Marine Corps Installations East. 12 of my last 13 years, we were engaged in global combat operations with 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force. 56,000 Marines at one point in time deployed in 9 theaters. And I provided all the reach back, reach through for voice, video, and data for them and all the bases and stations. And in my last 10 years, we had 0 compromises. One of my last projects was a project called Comply to Connect. You may know it as continuous data monitoring. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. Baseline security. Baseline security is the largest threat to your network, and what everybody you've heard here talking about is how are the bad guys getting in? Email, bad URLs, old vulnerabilities being compromised. 0 days is all part of your baseline security function. Biggest threat to us? Loose nut between the keyboard and the seat back. Unfortunately, there are customers. They're the only reason we have a network. So how do you tighten the loose nut between the keyboard and the seat back? Well, short of an M16, automate it. I was using 75% of my cybersecurity resources to maintain compliance with old patches. Nearly all of the compromises that we have seen were proven to be older vulnerabilities. If you were to go into Walmart and you leave an iPad in the front seat of your car and the windows down, and about halfway through your trip into Walmart, you would be thinking, oh crap, I better stop by and buy a new iPad. But if halfway through your shopping experience you said, well, wait a minute, the doors are locked, the windows are up, and the alarm's on, I probably don't need to buy a new iPad, because you did the baseline fundamental security things you needed to do to protect your network. So the whole idea is let's automate those things. And you've heard all the speakers before me were talking about how do we take the vulnerabilities out so that the human error part that the young Marine, soldier, sailor, airman wanting to pay his water bill or surf internet or go on eBay doesn't compromise your network. So here's your threat landscape. Biggest thing that worries me today is I was talking to somebody who said the incoming freshmen now are coming with 6 IP devices, everything from Fitbits to wireless printers to Xboxes to TVs. When my kids went to college 10 years ago, they had a laptop. And now, only one of those devices runs an operating system, and the rest of them are all Internet of Things. Major risk. 4 years from now, you're going to have 30 billion of those things hanging on your network. So we're going to talk about visibility, foundational security. If you can't see it, you can't perform a risk assessment on it, and you definitely can't secure it. So what you have to do is you have to find a product or service that can discover everything on your network, wired, wireless, RFID, I don't care if it's a camera, an HVAC system, a wireless meter, a police car that's connected to the internet, stoplights, they're all easily compromised. Printers. Discover it, and then start mapping what is it supposed to be doing. If a printer tries to access your VM stack, take actions. So with Forescout, you've got a wireless, or you've got an agentless discovery of everything on the network. Pass it over to control. Comply to Connect was a very simple concept, very difficult to prove. Something accesses a network, gets dropped into a secure VLAN, gets classified. Is this device supposed to be on the network? Is this user supposed to be on the network? Is the malware, the antiviral signature files up to date? Are all of the agents that are supposed to be on it running appropriately? Is it talking to the right servers? Is it patched up to compliance? And if so, push it back onto the network. The proof of concept we did, we were able to do that with machines that have been deployed for up to 7 months in 42 seconds. It closed all Category 1 vulnerabilities and allowed access to the network. The control piece, we passed it on to third-party patching, vendor patching. We use Tenable Access in the Department of Defense. And then that's the orchestrate piece, where you take actions based on your risk assessment in an automated function. Do we cut off the Combat Operations Center because they got a Cat 1? No. Do we cut off the general because he's got a Cat 1? Absolutely not. It's a quick way to go home. But do we inform the cyber guy? Do we do a pop-up? Do we automatically patch that system? Absolutely. So once you get past all that, what you've got is a 99% compliance. What I ended up doing was I took a total of 12 billets that were currently doing just manual patching, and we're talking 56,000 devices. Reduced that to 4. Took 8 of those people and made those hunters and seekers and proactive. And then took the other 4 billets and we eliminated them as part of our reduction of civil service staffing. We achieved 100% compliance for 4 hours once. If you Google Comply to Connect, you'll see about the third one down. Dr. Ray Latier, the DAA for the Marine Corps, will tell you that he saw an entire region in the Marine Corps, a third of the Marine Corps, was 100% compliant on every unclassed box. And we stayed compliant for 4 hours. I would have thought 4 minutes was great, but 4 hours was tremendous. So we set 99% as our baseline, and we maintained it. Second and third order impacts. You increase the security across the entire enterprise, because one, you're eliminating the risk that your users are bringing to the network because you're rolling up the windows and locking the doors, and all of your stuff is compliant when the user gets on it. So they reduce the threat vector and all of the service. You've got immediate action to 0 days, which is the point of this. A 0 day comes in, you get the patch, you can push it across your enterprise with one button. Real-time knowledge of your current security posture and portfolio management, which we found out was a second and third order impact of using Forescout, was we started looking at our portfolio And the story that I've told a number of times is I had 1,000 Adobe Acrobat Pro licenses, and I paid over $250,000 for them. Well, we've discovered that no more than 90 were ever in use at one time. All 1,000 people used them, but only 90 at one time. Well, that's not worth $250,000 to a taxpayer. So we went to Adobe and we found out we could stand up an Adobe Lifecycle server and put 200 floating licenses on it. And for under $50,000, we were able to do that, provide exactly the same services. And I put $210,000 to $235,000 back into my budget. That's my kind of return on investment. How do you get there? C, find out what's on your network. I was not a Forescout shop. I had 2 other vendors, and I had a network discovery tool that was well over $10 million with years of experience. And we dropped Forescout in there, and it found 6,000 devices we didn't know about. Navy's putting on HVAC and SCADA and ICS stuff. The military police putting wireless cameras on all the gates, and the logistics guys putting RFID stuff everywhere. We found all kinds of stuff on the network, and I had 3 other products. So that's it. I thank you for your time. For those of you that served, waited for somebody to come home, honor those that served. For those of you working in state and local, you certainly don't get paid enough. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Tony.